Good afternoon, students. You are welcome to class this afternoon. My name is Mrs. Jane, and I'll be your biology tutor this afternoon. All right, today we are going to be talking about reproduction, sexual form of reproduction, and our case study will be on meiosis. At the end of this lesson, I expect you to be able to define meiosis, to explain the stages of meiosis, and know the advantages and disadvantages of sexual form of reproduction. Now, that takes us to what is meiosis? Meiosis is a type of cell division where single cell divides twice and produces four daughter cells with half the amount of genetic materials. Why is it very important? Meiosis makes sure that all organisms produced via sexual reproduction contain the correct number of chromosomes are from each parent. Now let's take a look at the stages of meiosis. Meiosis is divided into two major phases, the first phase and the second phase. Now, the first phase, we have four levels there. We have the prophase, the anaphase, the metaphase, and the telophase. Now, let's take a look at the prophase phase one. During the prophase phase one, you can see from on your screen, the chromosomes condense and the nucleus breaks down. As the chromosomes move around, crossing happens. Crossing means that the genetic material can be exchanged between the chromosome, as you can see on the screen. Now, during the metaphase phase one, the chromosomes are lined in pairs and in the center of the cell. And here, random assortment occurs. What do I mean by random assortment? It means that the chromosome pairs they line up randomly. That takes us to the anaphase phase one. During the anaphase phase one, all the chromosomes pair separates and now they are moved to the opposite ends of the cell. And the reason they move to the opposite ends of the cell is to ensure that each cell contains half the number of chromosomes. Now, during the telophase phase one, two new nuclei form around each set of chromosomes. Here, the cytoplasm splits and two haploid cells, the daughter cells, are formed. So, at the end of the phase one, two daughter cells are produced at the end of phase one. Now that takes us to the second phase, which is the phase two. In the phase two, we have the first one is the prophase phase two. And during the phase two, the prophet here, phase two happens to allow four haploid sex cells, the sperm and the egg cells, to be created. The chromosomes condense during the prophase phase two, and the nucleus breaks in both cells. Now, during the metaphase phase two, the chromosomes align single file, they align in single file and in the center of the cell. And this occurs so that the sister chromatids separates in the next stage. In the next stage, which is the anaphase phase two, you can see it on your screen. Here, the sister chromatids separate and they are moved to the opposite end of the cells. The reason they are moved to the opposite end of the cell is to ensure that the daughter cells remain haploid. That means they have half of the genetic material from the original parent cell, half from the spermatozoa and half from the ovum. Now, in the last stage, which is the telophase phase two, four new nuclei form around each set of chromosomes. And here, the cytoplasm splits and four daughter cells are formed. Basically, at the end of the meiotic cell division, four daughter cells are being produced. Do not forget that the stages are divided into first and the second stage, which is here the whole process. The first stage, during the first stage, two daughter cells are being produced at the end of the first stage. And at the end of the second phase, four daughter cells are being produced. You can see it on your screen. In the first stage, prophase is daughter cell. Metaphase is two daughter. Anaphase is two daughter cell, and also the telophase. But at the second phase, you can see that the prophase is now four daughter cells, also the metaphase, also the anaphase, and the telophase. So at the end of the whole meiotic cell division, four daughter cells are being formed, unlike in asexual reproduction, where two daughter cells are produced at the end of the cell division. Now, what are the advantages of sexual reproduction? The first one is that it increases variation among organisms. And what is variation? Variation is simply the differences that exist between organisms. So, even as much as they have the same genetic material, they can be physiologically different. That is one of the advantage of sexual reproduction. It increases variation. It makes differences between organisms to be evident. Number two is that offspring acquire all the traits of both parents. Since during sexual reproduction, it involves fusion of the sperm cell and the egg cell. Now, for the sperm cell, 23 sets of chromosomes, which is haploid, are being released, and the ova also 23 sets of chromosomes are being released. So the zygote, which is the products from the formation of the sperm and the ova, contain 46 sets of chromosome, and this 46 cell form of chromosome acquire all the traits from both parent organisms. Number three is that it permits the production of hybrids for some desirable traits. If you so desire hybrids that are tall, you will ensure that you cross parents that are tall so that you can get your hybrids that are tall. And if you so desire short ones, you cross parents that are short so that you produce that kind of hybrid, pure hybrids of shortness. Then the last one is that it provides or enables the number of chromosomes of the parent to be maintained in the offspring. Since 23 sets of chromosomes are being released during sexual reproduction, and 23 sets are being released from the ova, making a total of 46 chromosomes being in the zygote. So 46 sets of chromosomes are being maintained. It ensures that they are maintained in the offspring that has been produced. Now, disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of sexual reproduction? Number one, since two parents are needed, the absence of one parent will prevent reproduction. You know that sexual reproduction have to two parents are involved in it. There can't be a zygote without the formation of the sperm cell and the egg. So one parent cannot result in the formation of the zygotes. Unlike in asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, it involves a single parent. So a single parent just divide to form two daughter cells. But that can't happen in sexual reproduction. There must be the presence of the male sex organ and the female sex organ before a zygote can be formed. Number two, the process is slow since organisms need to be sexually matured before reproducing. So it takes a whole lot of processes before the organism reach puberty, before the spermatozoa gets matured, because the spermatozoa have to be mature before it can be able to fertilize an egg. And also the egg, which is the ova or the ovum, have to be mature before a spermatozoa will be able to fertilize it in order to develop into an embryo. So this process takes a very long time before reproduction can happen. Then the third one is that relatively few offsprings are produced in most organisms. You can't compare the number of offspring produced during sexual reproduction to that being produced during asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction, I told you, especially in amoeba can produce so many times in a day. So far, the environmental conditions are favorable. They keep producing, but that can't happen in sexual reproduction. During sexual reproduction, it brings about few offsprings, one, two, three, thereabouts, unlike in the asexual types of reproduction. Now, this is your assignment. You will tell me what is meiosis. You will highlight the stages in meiosis. You briefly give me the importance of meiosis and the advantages and disadvantages of sexual form of reproduction. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in our next class. Have a blessed day. Bye.